Hi guys, so this is going to be your introduction to your spelling words this week, and we're going to have our test on Thursday this week, so I know that's a little bit different than what I originally said, so make sure that you're practicing for your test on Thursday. Friday is the day before Halloween, so I don't know how focused we'll be, so I want to make sure that we're doing our absolute best, and that's why we're going to do it on Thursday this week. Okay, so we're going to go through and write all of the root words first, and then we're going to add our es suffix this week. Remember, a suffix is a syllable or small group of letters that we add to the end of a root word, and it changes its meaning. So why don't you go ahead and get out a piece of paper somewhere to write these words to practice them? And on one side of the paper, write root words, and on the other side, you can write es at the top. And so we're going to go through, and on the left side of your paper, on the left column, we're going to write all of our root words, so the words without any endings. Okay, so our first word this week is puppy. P-U-P-P-Y. Oop, it's not working. Okay, let's try that again. P-U-P-P-Y, puppy. So remember, if you cannot remember how to spell this, break it up you can break up the two syllables between the two P's because the two consonants are right there. And so you have pup, and then PY says P. So remember, sometimes the Y says I or E, depending if it's at the end of a word. So we have to make sure that we're paying attention because this week we have words that where the Y says I and words where the Y says E. So they're a little bit tricky this week. So just try and remember that all of our words are going to end with a Y for root words this week. Okay, our next word is penny. P-N-E. And a lot of our words this week have double consonants. Not all of them, but a lot of them. The next word does not have a double consonant, so study, st-a-d. So usually we would break up the two consonants right here, but because there's only one before the Y, we are going to break it up right after the U and before the D. So we have sta and then D. Usually when you have only one consonant, remember how we learned that it's usually a long vowel sound? Well, this is actually a tricky word because our U says right? It makes the short U sound. It does not say U. It says It's not studi, it's study. So just remember that tricky spelling. And then our next word is carry. Carry. And our next one is a long one. It's butterfly. Butterfly. I know that's kind of a hard one. Just remember, you can break it up into two words even if you wanted to and spell butter and then fly. And then lady. A-D. That one follows the rule, remember? So we're going to break it. If we were to break it up, we would break it up right after L-A. So we would break it up between the A and the D. And it's actually a long A spelling. O-A-D. And our next word is bunny. E. And then dry. I. It's really simple spelling. I know it's a little bit confusing, but if you know how to spell cry, it's the same as cry, but just with a D. Then hurry is our next word. Hurry. And Mary is our last word. Mary. Okay. So now we're going to add es to our words. And here's where it's going to get a little bit tricky. Okay, so when you have to add es to a word and it's at the end of the word, you're going to change the Y to an I and add es. Change the Y to an I and add es. I know that's hard to remember, but that's what's going to be our spelling pattern in every word this week. So you know that you're getting rid of the Y and you're adding an I and adding ES. So puppies would be pop, and you're going to get rid of the Y, IES, puppies. Oops. For pennies, you're going to get rid of the Y, add the I and ES. Okay, so then for study, you're again study, change the Y to an I and add ES. For carry, same thing. Change the Y to an I and add ES. Butterfly, you're changing the Y to an I and adding ES. If you notice that we are making all of our words plural, right? So now there's more than one of each of these things, right? So we had one bunny, and we're adding or changing the Y to an I and adding ES. So now we have multiple bunnies or more than one bunny. Dries is more of a verb, right? It's an action word, something you're doing. So hurry to hurries, and marry to marries. Okay, now our challenge words. Okay, so our first challenge word this week, remember our challenge words are the words that don't really follow any spelling patterns. They don't follow the rules, and that's why they're kind of tricky for us to remember. If you were in the younger grades, well, I guess this doesn't matter because we didn't have this curriculum last year, but they would have been called tricky words. So the challenge words are the tricky words that don't follow the spelling patterns. Okay, so our first challenge word is along. Along. That's how I always remember it. And then our second challenge word is put. Put. That one I feel like does follow a spelling pattern, but they did not. So that one is pretty much, I think it's because like UT says usually, but instead it says p. So I think it's pretty easy to remember, and I hope you do too. If you are having a hard time with it, try and it's more of a sight word where you can look at it and remember it instead of memorizing how exactly the sounds align together. Okay, so make sure you're practicing these all week and really understanding how to do them. And then again, on Thursday, we will be having our test. You do not need to turn in a picture of this to me. This is only to help you